Hey guys, this is Snake75, and I'd like to take a second to discuss H1Z1 being worked on by Sony Online Entertainment. Yesterday, there was a stream run by game designer Jimmy Weisenhunt, hopefully I'm saying that right, and Tom Schenk. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your names, guys. Tom Schenk is the technical director. Anyway, they had about an hour stream, a little less, and it was just kind of to discuss or update people on more about H1Z1. Now, I don't really know much about the game, or I didn't know much about the game before this, and I started getting a little more into it, following some more news on it, and I figured I'd give you guys an overview of what it is. Off the bat, I'm gonna, just to kind of reel you in, I would compare it to a game like DayZ, for example, or Rust. Just, examples, but by no means am I saying this is what it is. I have a few notes I jotted down. It's a hardcore zombie survival game. From what they were saying on the stream, this is going to focus a lot more on crafting than you would expect from games like, Rust and DayZ. I mean, Rust might be a bad example because Rust does have a lot of crafting as well. But let me just go down the list of what I think I wrote. H1Z1 will be taking place 15 years into an apocalypse that has already happened. I'm assuming, for the most part, it's kind of modern day, because from what I saw in terms of gameplay, it didn't look like, we had some futuristic stuff. There were still cars. It wasn't like UFOs crashed and stuff. In the sense that the game will be hardcore, there will be permadeath. The game will be running on the ForgeLight engine, which is the same engine that is used to run PlanetSide 2, where we're talking, 2,000 players going on at a time. So there hasn't been a specific note of how many players we can expect in servers on H1Z1, but you can expect, you could imagine it could even have up to 2,000. They could probably have more than that because they've already specified that H1Z1 it will for sure run better than PlanetSide 2 does, just on the ForgeLight engine alone. A few things to mention, just to give you guys an overview, there will be a dynamic day cycle, so day, night. There will be dynamic weather. They mentioned briefly there will be, there can be rain, and the rain can affect things around it, like the environment will become wet. They didn't really specify much further than that. I'm kind of curious personally if that has anything to do with maybe a farming system, because that would be interesting, having to water your crops and then, the rain affecting that. There will be wind. That was mentioned very briefly by Schenk. He didn't say anything further on that. Once again, just kind of throwing us little bits, but, I don't know, trying to grab us for the most part. In the playtest that was going on the stream, there were at least 4 people. So, we can have at least 4 people playing the game. We know that. On the team working on H1Z1, they mentioned that there are actually 17 people primarily working on it. But, they're also working with different studios and getting the game complete. That's just who's primarily working on it. While on the stream, they did show us a Jeep. They were driving a Jeep around. It was pretty cool. It was nothing crazy. They drove it, during the day, at night, just kind of to give you guys an idea of the environment. But they did note that, it's like impossible to find cars. You won't really find them often. It's more so something you would create and craft yourself and from scavenging different things. I don't know how the crafting works there, but as I said earlier, the crafting system is going to be a big thing in this. Also, in terms of transportation, I was reading on the Reddit forum for H1Z1, which will be in the description below, that horses will be a form of transportation, which is interesting. Along with horses, just because, hey, animals, there will be a hunting system. So food, gotta get that food. While watching the stream, of course, exploding barrels, because why not? At one point, I believe it was Jimmy Weisenhunt was hacking away at a barrel, and next thing you know, boom, explosion. And then next thing you know, another barrel, explosion. But anyway, minor things, While watching the stream, I noticed there were indicators at the top of the screen in the middle, so just kind of like, oh, your health is low, you're hungry, this person killed this person. I don't know if that's just like how much that'll all be there. What I didn't like was this person killed this person, because that kind of, I'm assuming that'd get hectic depending on how many people are in a server. That might have just been there temporarily for now. I don't know. Even if it just said so-and-so was killed, but that's kind of still a little, iffy. From what I noticed, the zombies aren't, just little slow-walking zombies you can just kind of outrun easily. The zombies are quick, but you can outrun them. From what I saw, you are faster than them, but not by a lot. It was mentioned there are hordes in the game, so watch out for hordes of zombies. They were while talking about that, they mentioned you don't just kind of go and find a horde and then start fighting it, or like as one person. Hordes are sort of is like, they didn't say how many people would it be in a horde zombies, which I was kind of wondering about, but they said you can. That's the sort of thing you really need to plan. You don't just go for it and whatever, wing it. Taking over a town that has a bunch of like a horde of zombies in it is a big you have to tactically plan it and everything. You can't just wing it, unless I guess you have like, I don't know, a tank probably. But in terms of crafting, they didn't show off too much on that. They only really showed off that there is a shed you can place. Placement of the shed was very simple. You went to click the shed, and then you go to place it. It shows you the shed in the real world, and then you place it somewhere. They showed that doors snap to it very easily. The door isn't on it to begin with. You have to build the door. There is a loot system in play. They didn't really show much on that because they were having server issues, but there are items you can pick up. I remember at one point they saw logs in a car, an abandoned car, because while exploring this environment, there were tons of abandoned cars, trailers, and whatnot. Which, on the note of that, you will often find there are tons of towns. Tom Shank mentioned that you can come across, small towns, large towns, cities, small settlements, little campsites, and so forth as you explore the world. But it should be more interesting to see who claims what, who builds what, and the terms of how extensive the city building and building your own fortress, etc. gets. I remember reading on the Reddit forum, people were saying, oh, there should be a safe zone. Some people, not a ton of people. And then other people saying there shouldn't be, and then it all comes down to, oh, well, players or a huge clan could create a safe zone. Like, oh, this is a place for trading. Someone starts trying to mess stuff up, you shoot them, or you take their guns before they come in. Stuff like that. Which could very well be interesting, but that all goes into the player's hands and not the developers, so it's always interesting to see what happens. Whereas in the case of stuff like Rust and DayZ, it can be hectic, and then lead to kill on sight. The big information which we did hear at early or later on in the stream was early access 4 weeks from now, which was April 17th. So 4 weeks from April 17th. The price will be $19.99, even though I believe the game will be free to play. So it's just kind of if you want to buy into it. I don't know if they're going to have some sort of Founders Pack thing going on or what. Yeah. Going back to things I heard from the stream, they were both saying that the big thing with this is to make it very realistic, but we're not going for, oh, it's so realistic the game's not fun anymore. That's basically all you gotta know about H1Z1. I just thought it was interesting. There was a stream about it. I figured I'd kind of give you guys an overview of what I know. And yeah, thanks for listening. This is Snake75. Checking out.